G'day, I'm Dan Raff. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Spa-Francorchamps in Liège in Belgium for the second race of the 2021 Nations Cup here on Gran Turismo Sport. We're in Group 1 machines and I hated this race. What you're going to see is the third attempt. The first two were absolutely disastrous and we shall speak no more of as we take a look down the grid. And not too many familiar faces at the moment, although sitting next to me on the grid is Macaulay Falcon, who I have raced against before. And that's where you find me in P9. So let's take a look at my qualifying lap. I only managed one flying lap on this attempt of the race, and the time I got a 2:01, about middle of the pack. With the three attempts that I had at this race, it was the one smack bang in the middle. My best attempt was on the second attempt at the race, which was a 2 minute. I'll talk a little bit about those times later on. I mean, it's a good 6 or 7 seconds outside of the top 10, but I'll address that a little bit later. But this lap was smack bang in the middle, and unfortunately the first two attempts at this race were unmitigated disasters. If you watch my video on the race at Laguna Seca, and I speak about the two curses that plague me in this game, the first lap curse and the first race course, well, both of them bit very hard during the evening. The first race was especially awful, but although I did manage to claw back some semblance of a result, the second race was a write-off right from the beginning. Absolute disaster on lap 1. So this was it. It came down to the final slot of the evening and I had to make a go of it. So you'll be seeing that race very shortly. It wasn't a bad one, all things told, but after having run this race 3 times, I was so tired of it. I didn't really enjoy the lead up to this race. The car I'm driving, the Mazda LM55 VGT, was the 4th car that I tested for this race and was the only one that I liked. So yeah. So across the line provisionally in 8th, but after qualifying is completed, because I just miss out on getting a second lap. After qualifying is completed, that puts me down into P9 on the grid. So looking further down the grid, again, not many people I know. Ace will come into play a little bit later. Back 86 will come into play a little bit later as well, as will Captain Chaos to a lesser extent. Gares 1972, I hope that's the year he was born, because it would mean that I'm not the oldest person in this lobby. And Contagious, who we've seen many times. And look out for him on the last lap of the race. So all set for a grid start at Spa. Words that send shivers down the spine of any racer on Gran Turismo. We get away relatively clean, but that does not last as we come up to La Source for the first time, and it's carnage, and I tried to avoid that collision, but just was moving too quickly, and I cop a 1 second penalty as a result. But I'm not the only one. There are penalties galore in this race. Down to, well, people doing that. Ace likes to just barge his way through the pack, but also the track limits on Spa are very strict, and in Group 1 cars it can be very difficult to you know, to stay within the track limits. But again, I'll speak about that a little bit later because it relates to, you know, the main issue that I want to discuss later in the race. As Ace just barges his way through. 3 and 2 second penalties up ahead. As we come up to Puon for the first time. And it's a pretty nifty train of cars. The front pack is already split off. But yeah, this pack in the early battle for P7, as Wartime goes wide and gets a bit of a tap from Fighter Fontana. I don't think that was deliberate, but it pushes him wide enough that we get a gap and gladly take it. And again, a bit sketchy, a bit wide on that, and that's enough to get us a half a second track limit penalty. Yeah, the track limits on this just don't mess around. To La Source. Again, this is another corner that gave me all sorts of grief early on and took me a long time to work it out. You know, especially in you know, Group 1, I've got to brake so early in this car because the braking isn't the best. It's got fantastic top speed. You'll see that come into play a little bit later. But yeah, I do have to brake a little bit earlier than I would otherwise in a different car. But as these penalties get served, we gain 2 and lose 1 position and wind up back in a starting position of P9. Following now behind Ace with Captain Chaos hot on our heels, a half a second gap between cars, and back 86 not too far up ahead as we get a good run into Puon and take the inside line and take the position from Ace, and now begin a chase of P7. I did look at a track map before starting this race because I'm not too familiar with all of the corner names, and I'm racking my brain trying to think of the name of the straight I'm on right now. I want to say Chamboise, but that's not right. Maybe I should have had one open on my phone or something when I did this commentary, but oh well. And this chicane has a name, I can't remember it though. I'm sure it'll come to me. So back onto the straightaway up to Radion and Eau Rouge. Pretty sure that's correct. Onto the Camel Straight behind back 86. And I don't know, he got a terrible run out of Eau Rouge and onto the Camel Straight and just really lost a ton of speed. I don't know what happened there, but I'll gladly take P7 from him. And now we'll flash forward to lap 7 when I've closed the gap significantly up to P6 and G-Train. And the gap you see is the one, it's been about 2.5, 3 seconds for the last couple of laps. I sort of reel him in and then he gets away, then I reel him in and then he gets away. But but he loses it and spins out, and that's all she wrote, and I happily take P6 off him. As we head up Champignon. That's not right either, is it? So I'm going to flash forward to the end of our lap 8 and around the bus stop into lap 9. So we'll move into cockpit view, as this is my fastest lap of the race. And I'm going to take a moment to talk about why the lap times, I think, at this level are just so poor, especially, I think a lot of people at this, down in these lobbies are still on controllers, and why that matters when you're in Group 1 is purely a deficit in precision. If you think about how much travel you have on a steering wheel, how much movement you have, versus a controller where you're essentially steering with your thumb, a steering wheel has a good, 30-40 centimeters either side of neutral, whereas a controller has 1 centimeter, barely 1 centimeter either side of neutral. So, with a controller you really have to be, millimeter perfect in order to control the car at these speeds, because the faster a car goes, the more technical a track becomes, and the less forgiving. And especially Group 1 machines like this, it's just you just have to look at it and it'll fly off the track. So it's very difficult. In fact, it's almost impossible to be as precise as you need to be, when you're on a controller versus a steering wheel. And you'll notice that when you see me go up through Raidillon and Eau Rouge, and I have to lift, and you shouldn't have to lift through there. And in practice, I did have a few laps where I didn't lift, but I had to be so precise with timing, and I just couldn't get it right, especially in the race. I didn't want to risk, binning it, basically, so I decided to play it safe during the race. So yeah, 2:01.4 for my fastest lap of the race. That is 2 full seconds slower than my fastest lap in free practice, and a full 7 seconds outside of the top 10. And as you see through this section, I have to lift, whereas I would prefer not to have to, but I just don't have the precision to enable me to floor it, because when you lose that precision, you have to then be more cautious, and that washes off even more time. So it's not just the precision itself, it's this carry-on effect of having to slow down sooner and take things slower. As Rambo takes back P5, not sure whether he's doing a no-stop or whether he just came out of the pits. I was in P5 as drivers had pitted in front of me. But Rambo, I didn't want to fight him, but he goes wide on Pouon, and that basically allows me past again. Now heading up towards Cherbourg. That's not right either. So we'll flash forward again up to the chicane at the end of lap 12, as I'm about to pit for a mandatory pit stop to do a lap on the hard tyres. I've been on softs this whole time, and though it's entirely possible to finish the race without pitting on softs, you'll see why at the end of the race that's maybe not such a good idea. And coming out of the pits, Still back up into 6th. Rambo has passed me, by quite a significant margin. Contagious 1.3 seconds behind, and Captain Chaos behind him. So I've just got to complete, was it 2/3 of a lap to secure a P6. And considering I started in P9, and considering the disasters that I had with this race in the previous 2 attempts, I'd be happy with that. I'd be very happy with that indeed. I think this corner's Onage. Could be wrong. And I'm feeling okay about the gap, but unfortunately, I figured I'm on hard tyres, miss gear, and yeah, take a very wide line around Pouon. That takes me off the track, washes off a heap of speed, and allows Contagious to catch right up to me. And I do try to defend through here, but yeah, the tyres are still, not quite up to temp, and as we come on to the back straight for the last time, he does make that pass. So back down into P7 from the P9 start again. Not too bad considering the disasters of the last 2 attempts and the a P9 grid start with a fairly mediocre qualifying time. But as I cross the line in P7, I'm immediately promoted to P5, as there were several drivers who forgot the mandatory lap of hard tyres. So that's it. Thank God this race is over. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, like, comment and subscribe. Next on the calendar is the 3rd round of the 2021 Manufacturers Series. We're in Group 3 at Fuji. I'm Dan Raff, and I'll see you at the next race.